Hey everybody, Jamie Troll here, your favorite CPA, financial literacy coach, and profit strategist. I am live right now. It is September 4th. That's really important. Always make sure you know what date my lives are from because things do change. So today's September 4th. I'm live on my Balance CFO Facebook page. I am live in my Financial Literacy for Women Business Owners Facebook group. If you are not in it, why not? We take men as well, so come join us over there. And also I'm live on my YouTube channel, so please come on over and subscribe. So importantly, we're going to talk today, just like we do every Friday, about kind of an update on what's going on with the stimulus. And then I'm going to take your questions for whatever questions that you have on all the things. So as always, I need to give a legal disclaimer here. I am a CPA, but I'm not your CPA. So if you have questions and things like that that you need to talk about your own specific situation with, I always recommend going to a CPA or a small business lawyer, depending on what your questions are. I'm just here to help and give you my perspective on things, but this shouldn't be considered official financial advice. Okay, when you're here, tell me you're here. I see Tina, I see Jen. Hi guys, hope you guys are well today. I am not hanging out. Last week, I had to cancel my live Q&A because I was hanging out in the closet. For real, in the closet. It was tornado warning. So we've had a couple of them this week. It's been a little bit of crazy weather. I guess we've just got like all these apocalyptic things going on recently, but we had our whole family in the closet hanging out instead of getting to hang out with you guys. So today it's raining a little bit, but I think we're good today. Hey guys, hi Robin. Happy Friday. Hey Vicky. Okay. So I will start as I normally do with a stimulus update. It's not going to take a whole heck of a lot of time, y'all, because there isn't much of one. So Congress is on recess. We know they have been talking about kind of this like CARES Act 2 or like stimulus part 2 for a long time. There was a stalemate in Congress where they just could not come to an agreement. There are several different topics that they are in stalemate on. One of the biggest ones is around funding to state and local governments. So it's not really, the stalemates aren't really happening as much around the things that that probably affect you directly. They may affect you more indirectly, but the stalemates have not been so much around sort of the programs for business owners or even the next stimulus check, things like that, or even PPP blanket forgiveness. None of those things seem to really be the sticking point. It's really just dollars. It's dollars and cents, and it's specifically the ones that Democrats want to give more to state and local governments. Republicans don't want to give that much to state and local governments. So that's really where one of the major sticking points still is. So what that means is they kind of left, they kind of had a stalemate in early August on this stuff where they just could not decide. That's when President Trump signed those 4 executive orders, one of them being on unemployment. There were some on evictions. There was the payroll tax one. So we can talk a little bit about that if you guys are interested in that too. But that is what happened. And we're still waiting to see what, if anything, hopefully something Congress will pass eventually. The one update I do have, we kind of thought that they might tie it to the budget discussions that they needed to have. So by the end of September, they essentially need to agree on the budget for the government. And if they don't agree on that, then there's a whole government shutdown. We've been through this rigmarole before, but we know how that goes. We thought that they were going to tie coronavirus funding in there. And so, but it looks like, at least from what Pence came out and said, I think today, maybe yesterday or today, saying they're going to likely be taking those separately. So they're not going to be tying the COVID-19 or the coronavirus stimulus stuff in with the regular budget discussions, and they're going to pass the budget separately to try to prevent that shutdown. So what does that mean? I don't know. I think I can see the good in that, okay, we're not risking a government shutdown for this coronavirus funding, but that was one of the kind of impetuses we were hoping to see to make them kind of take action, right? So sometimes it takes a deadline for Congress, as we know, to get anything done. And they kind of removed the like immediate deadline by doing that. So I'm getting a ton of people asking about the payroll tax deferral. So I'm going to jump into that because you guys are asking me that. Okay, yes, I will give you that. Do you know? Okay. Yes, you can opt out of the payroll tax deferral. So let's take it a couple of steps back for those who are like, what are we talking about here? Because there are a couple of different payroll tax deferrals that we're talking about. So if you have a question about how COVID-19 and all the stimulus funds have impacted payroll taxes, I have a whole video I did just on that. So go to my YouTube channel. It's just Jamie Trull. You can search for it, subscribe to it, and you can find the one that's on kind of the several different ways, because there are several that payroll taxes are impacted. What we're talking about here and what Stephanie is likely talking about is the executive order that President Trump signed towards the beginning of August after those stimulus discussions fell apart. So President Trump has always had, he's very strongly advocated for a payroll tax cut. Or sort of like holiday is what they also called it, which would mean that you don't have to pay your payroll taxes. What do we mean by payroll taxes? It's the employee side of Social Security and Medicare. Now, a lot of you guys are business owners, so you probably pay your own employer and employee side, but we're specifically talking about the employee side of Social Security and Medicare, okay? So, so he wanted to pass a holiday. He couldn't pass a holiday. He doesn't have the authority to do that, to allocate those funds to be able to do that. So what he did was write an executive order that basically allowed you to defer those taxes to a later time. The executive order was very short, didn't go into a whole heck of a lot of detail about how it was going to work. So it left a lot of things up in the air. So basically, we had to sort of wait for guidance on exactly what was going to happen with this payroll tax deferral. So we had to wait for the IRS to say, okay, here's how we're interpreting that executive order. And there has been discussion as well, just to put this out there, of would this potentially be forgiven later in time or not? Right now, it is written as such that it is not forgiven, right? So it's just a deferral. So the IRS did come out with guidance that said, okay, sure, you can defer, for your employees. You can, and yourself as well, you can defer the employee side of payroll taxes from September 1st through the end of December. But, right, and remember, it's employers who collect that from their employees. They collect it and they remit that to the government, right? So they're saying, okay, that's not going to be due, but you have to, what the IRS said is you have to pay it all by April of next year. So what that looks like for most companies would probably be deferring it from September to December, meaning they're not collecting that from their employees. And then they double collect from January through April. Now, you guys are business owners here, so you know the problem with that, right? There's a couple of problems, right? How are your employees going to feel when all of a sudden their paychecks are significantly reduced, right? Are things going to be better between January and April of next year? And also, you as an employer are on the hook to collect those taxes. So what happens in the circumstance that the person leaves, right? So there's a little bit of technically, they're saying, well, you could collect it from their last paycheck, maybe, but the administration of it all seems really difficult for the benefit, which is a little bit more money between September and December, but then less money through the first 4 months of next year. So to me, and again, this is not advice, this is not a recommendation, look at your own specific situation, but I know a lot of business owners are deciding that they're not going to do it, and you can opt out of it and not do that payroll deferral. Work with your payroll provider, because I'm not sure if they're automatically defaulting to that or if you have to actually opt into it. Just depends on how your payroll provider is going to handle it. So make sure you know what they're doing. Make sure to check and say, like, hey, are you automatically deferring this, or do I need to opt in here? But I know a lot of business owners are just saying, and including big businesses, a lot of big businesses are like, that administration is going to be crazy. And to try to track that and everything that's going to be necessary, especially if you have a lot of employee turnover, it's a lot. So I personally, I wouldn't do it. I don't have employees. I just use contractors. But if I had employees, I probably wouldn't do it for that reason, just because there's not a huge benefit. Now, you could pull your employees or something like that if you want to, but you'd have to make sure they understood exactly, what that meant for them. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, let's see. Thanks, Sarah. Yeah. Robin, I mean, there's a lot, right? Because you're talking about Christmas. And I think that's a really good point, right? Like, you're giving people more money to spend through the Christmas season. And then when those bills come at the beginning of next year, you're saying, oh, actually, now your paycheck is less. I know for me personally, my biggest bills typically come in January as the hangover for what I did in December. So I know for me, I need that money in January more than I need it, now. Okay, so hopefully that's helpful. Yes, exactly. And if they're no longer employed, so it is on the employer, it's their responsibility to collect that money one way or another. And you may be able to collect it, like say in their last paycheck, collect that amount that is due, but there's just a lot to keep up with there. And if there was a better payoff, I would understand it, right? But I think for a lot of people, it's just going to be too much to ask. Okay, let's see. Okay, has any requirements for backup documentation for PPP forgiveness been announced yet? We are within 2 weeks of threshold. Yes. Yes. So if you look, I'm trying to think about the best place to find it. So treasury.gov has the actual applications. So if you go to treasury.gov, there's going to be this red bar up at the top. Okay. And at the top of that red bar, it's going to have like coronavirus, stimulus, blah, blah, blah. Click that. And then it takes you to all the resources on PPP. And it's going to have the PPP forgiveness application, both the easy and the regular, and the form instructions. If you open those form instructions, at the back of it, it has a list of all the things that you would need to provide. Okay, so it's going to be payroll reports. It's going to be supporting documentation for any rent or utilities you paid with the money, that kind of thing. It's really listed out in there. You may have to talk to your bank about if you need even more specifics than what's included, but the general recommendations or the general guidelines from Treasury are what the bank should be going off of to request information from you. So you want to go review that, especially depending on if you're using the easy form or the full form, because the requirements are different for each. So go take a look at that. But again, remember, each bank is kind of putting up their own. So there's one application. Well, there's two. There's the easy application, the regular, right? Now, the bank is likely not going to give you that application and tell you to fill out a paper form. They might, but they're probably going to have a portal to take all those answers down, right? So it may not follow, like when you go in to complete the portal for forgiveness, it's kind of like when you applied in the first place, right? Treasury had like a one-page document that was your application, but when people actually applied, it looked a little bit different because each bank kind of set up its own portal to gather that information, and they're not necessarily going down the line and asking the exact same questions, but the questions they ask are compiling on the back end the information they need for that application. So you can go see what your bank has out there, if anything. I know a lot of y'all are going to say your banks aren't taking them yet because a lot of them still aren't. Why? Because of the fact that we're still waiting on the stimulus, and within the stimulus being discussed is blanket forgiveness, which the banks are advocating for these smaller loans. Likely, we've been talking about 150,000 because that's what the banks say. We don't know what would end up getting in the stimulus. Could be more, could be less, but there's still a relative likelihood that that could come through, which would mean instead of having to have all this paperwork for all these loans to get forgiveness, it likely wouldn't be automatic, but it would be like a one-pager certification where you would just say, I did my best to use the money as I needed to. We don't have the wording for what that would be, but something to that effect likely. So that's why a lot of you guys may see your banks kind of punting on it, because they honestly don't want to start processing that paperwork now if they aren't going to have to, right? So that's sort of where they're like, we might get out of this whole thing, so we don't need to take anything. Remember, you've got 10 months from the end of your 8 or 24-week period, whichever you choose, to apply for forgiveness. 10 months. Okay, you got a long time. All right, so I know people are like, I just want this forgiven right now. You have a long time. You do not, if you're getting anything telling you have payments due, because some people are telling me that they're getting things saying payments are coming due, because originally it was supposed to be 6 months from when you signed up for the loan. The PPP Flexibility Act that was passed in June changed the timing of payments. You have 0 payments due until your forgiveness has been determined, or until that 10 months time frame has lapsed and you didn't apply for forgiveness. But technically, you do not have to make any payments until they've determined your forgiveness. So don't worry that like you're going to have a payment coming due and you need to get forgiven before then. There will be no payments due for you until that's figured out. If you have a bank that's telling you have a payment due, let me know, because I have the Q&A from Treasury that you can go get off that same Treasury website. There's a Q&A on PPP forgiveness. Question 3 is where it says you do not need, there are no payments due until forgiveness has been determined, and you have 10 months from the end of your covered period to apply. So if any banks didn't get the memo, you can send it to them and say, look, you can't require me to pay anything on this because it's illegal. Okay, let's see. Let me scroll down to where you are. Oh, good. Yes, thank you. I can't tell who you are, but yes, it's under the FAQs. Exactly. So the treasury.gov is the place to go. It's where you're going to find all the info. It's not very well organized, I will say that, but you can kind of hunt and peck for it. Okay. When will this happen? That is the question. Okay, so Congress comes back from their recess Tuesday, because Monday's Labor Day. Tuesday, the 8th. It's the 8th, right? It's probably the 8th. 5th, 6th, 7th. Yes, Tuesday the 8th. They will be back in session. Will a deal happen Tuesday the 8th? No. So they'll be in session for a couple of weeks. I'm hopeful by the end of September, but I've said that before. So I think they're watching what's happening. They're seeing the fact that unemployment is coming down. I think they're seeing some senses of recovery. Even though the stock market is not the economy, they're also seeing the fact that the stock market is doing reasonably well. So all of those things factor into urgency. Plus you have an election coming. So everybody's got their own agenda. So, and they're pretty far apart right now. Like they're still at least $500 billion apart in what, and like sometimes that money, I know, like when I say it, I'm like, that almost means nothing. Like, I don't even know what those numbers mean after a point in time, but they're at least 500 billion apart at this point. Maybe more depending on, who you're talking to. So it's, it's going to be a little while, but hopefully they will come out with something, because there are still so many business owners that are hurting, so many people that are hurting. So again, in part of the next funding, there's probably going to be another stimulus check at some point. They're probably going to have another small business loan program, hopefully a forgivable one. It may be PPP getting re-upped. It may be another one entirely. There's a lot of different things that they're looking at right now. But as of right now, we're kind of just in this holding pattern, waiting and waiting and waiting. Yeah, I know. Yeah, so I think that's been part of the discussions. Again, I don't think it's a very contentious one, unless they just replace it with a different type of loan, which I've talked about before. There's another type of loan they've thought about. But if they did PPP again, the way it was written in the last act that I saw was that, yes, you'd be able to get a second PPP loan if you already got one, but you'd have more to prove. And the way it was originally written was you would take 1 quarter from this year. You could pick the quarter, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and compare it to the same quarter from 2019. And if your gross receipts, i.e. the gross amount of money you brought into your business, was down at least 50%, you'd be eligible for a second forgivable PPP loan. That's how it was written. That doesn't mean that's how it will eventually be written, but that may give you some indication of whether you would qualify for a second one or not if it were to pass at some point. Okay, let's see. Yes, so yeah, we did receive our first statement for our okay, that's for the SBA loan. Yes, for EIDL, which does state that that's deferred until 1 year from the disbursement date. Yes, so EIDL is deferred, but you are, importantly, because I think this is something people miss a lot, you are still accruing interest. You don't have to pay anything for a year, but interest is being added every single day. And so if you want to know how much is being added, make sure you have my free EIDL tracker. Balance sheet, actually, I'm going to nix that. JamieTrell.com, you guys, it's out there. Go check it out. I haven't fully announced it because we're still working on a couple of small things. But JamieTrell.com/EIDL tracker now. So most of my links are now going to be JamieTrell.com. If you used to go to BalanceCFO.com, go check out my new website. It's really pretty. We're really proud of it. We've been working on it for a while. So JamieTrell.com/EIDL tracker, and that can give you an idea of what that interest amount that you may have accrued on your EIDL loan is. Okay, we also have a PPP tracker for those that don't need it or that haven't gotten it. Obviously, you would need it. For those that haven't gotten it, JamieTrell.com/PPP tracker. It is fun. I like it. You can track your expenses in there, and you can also calculate out your interest, which I nerd out on that kind of stuff. So it was really fun to make. But yeah. Okay. I am very quickly losing hope on this. I'll be totally honest. Could it happen? Maybe. So that's another thing that's been talked about is the Eigl Grant. And giving people the full 10,000 because some members of Congress are saying, no, that was the intention. And it was Treasury that took it down and said, no, we're going to only give 1K per employee because we had so many people that applied that they didn't somehow expect there to be a lot of people to apply for free money. I don't know. I would be surprised. I know it's been talked about. It doesn't seem to be a huge hot button. If this is something really big for you, write your senators, write your congressmen. That's true on all of this, you guys. So I know we're tired. I know we're waiting, but if there's something that's like make or break, something that you're really passionate about, if you need that other next PPP, if you need, this $10,000, like go write your senator, because they don't know what, if people aren't telling them, if people aren't yelling and screaming from the rooftops what they need, then that's kind of how stuff like this happens, where they just kind of sit on things. So you need to give urgency, and that comes from the people. So I do recommend there are sites out there where you can just figure out who your representatives are, who your congressmen are, and you can write them. And you'll get some fun boilerplate wording back probably, but at least you'll be logged in the system for that specific issue that you are passionate about. So I would say that, but I'm not overly, that would be a huge amount of money to do. Plus the fact that if you got PPP as well, your EIDL advance, remember, gets subtracted from your PPP forgiveness anyway. So I think that made this a little bit less of an issue because a lot of the people that got EIDL also got PPP. And therefore, it doesn't really help you all that. It gives you kind of a low interest loan, right? But it's not going to give you a bunch of extra free money to get the increase in the advance, since that will be subtracted. So I think that's part of the reason. It's probably not. It's probably not as huge of a thing. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I know some people did miss that deadline when, and we were kind of thinking they might extend it again because they waited till the 11th hour and extended it last time, but they did not. Okay, so anything else from you guys? Let's see. Yeah, it would be. If you didn't take PPP, I think the EIDL advance increase would be great. And if that's you, go write your congressman about it. Because yeah, I would try to get that additional money as well. Okay. Oh, thanks. Thank you. I can't tell who you are. If you guys are in the Facebook group, sometimes it doesn't tell me who you are because of privacy reasons, because I'm streaming this in other places. So there should be a thing above with StreamYard where you can go click on it and give you permission so that I can see your nice face and your name when I read your comments. Okay. Let me know if there's anything else, you guys. So I think that's really the main things. They also did put into effect an eviction moratorium, I guess. So starting as of like September 1st, I think the last one just rolled off. So they did put into effect that eviction moratorium. You can't be evicted because you can't pay through December 31st, but they have not yet passed any kind of rental or mortgage assistance, which is probably really what people need. Because here's the thing, if you just don't get evicted for not paying, again, that's assuming you're going to have money in January to back pay all your months of rent, right? So, there is some talks of rental assistance and mortgage assistance, but nothing has passed at this point in time. Okay, so let me know if y'all have any other questions. I'm like early. I got like 4 minutes left, you guys. You have me at your disposal for 4 minutes. Or just tell me what you're doing for the long weekend. Okay, so because I'm waiting on questions, I get to tell you about the fun thing that I just got, which I'm really excited about, which we've been saving for a long time for this, you guys, a very, very long time. My husband has wanted this for years, and we've had a savings fund for it that we've put a little bit in at a time for. And we just got it. We just got a hot tub. So we finally were able to get to, and weirdly, like hot tubs, I guess, are like in huge demand right now, I guess, because nobody's going to like public pools and stuff like that. So we had to wait like months to get it, and it just showed up, and we haven't gone in it yet, but I'm pretty excited about it. I'm not going to lie. So that was the excitement. That was the excitement. And thank you guys, because you guys, with the massive response you guys gave me for my launch of my basics course in June, you guys were a big part of making that happen. So we are forever grateful to you guys. Okay. What are the best business loans besides EIDL? I don't have a lot of advice as far as loans go. I do know some loan brokers. SBA loans are always a good option to look into. It totally depends. It's hard to answer that question because there are so many different options. Look at the interest rate of your loan. Look at whether it's secured or not, whether you have to put up collateral or not. That was one of the great things about EIDL, is that there were no personal guarantees, which means if you default, they can't come after and take your house and stuff like that. So it's important when you're looking at any loans to both look at the interest rate, the payback terms, and what your responsibility is in the event of default. Okay, so that's what I can tell you about any loan that you're going to look at. I'm very much, in what I teach in my signature program is very much outside of emergency situations like this. I try to teach people to fund themselves with cash and not with debt. I just feel like there is such a weight that comes off of you when you are able to self-fund and save that money and then invest in things that you need for your business and grow at the speed of cash versus using debt to leverage. Now, some businesses are set up that isn't necessarily possible, and I understand that, but that is, I think, when I teach it, I really try to give you strategies around here's how not to go into debt for your business. Because debt is more expensive than funding yourself with cash. And it's a heck of a lot riskier too. So anyway, that's my little aside on debt. But I do know, I do have some loan brokers and things like that can probably help. If you need, you can reach out and I can give you that info. Okay, yay, yes. Let's talk about Lindsay. So you guys in my Facebook community, thank you, Martha, for the reminder. In my Facebook community, we have Lindsay Parham. She's brand new to the org. She is the new community manager in financial literacy for women business owners. Women, I need to change the name because we do have a decent number of men in there, but it's mostly women, so I feel like it's still appropriate. But she's the community manager. She's going to be there to really connect with you guys, help direct you to different resources that can help you. She's doing a lot of the group administration, like letting people in, approving posts, things like that, moderating. But we're really excited to have her. This happened so quickly. This blow up in the community, the Facebook community happened so quickly that we have needed help for a long time. And we are so excited to have Lindsay on board. It is going to be amazing. So yes, thank you, Martha. You guys get to know her, treat her well, okay? I want to keep her, so treat her well. But we're really excited to expand the team too and have somebody who can just be dedicated in there helping you guys. Okay. Let's see. Oh, the other thing I want to mention really quickly that's probably relevant to you guys, let me take that comment up, is PPP. A lot of people ask me if I do one-on-one consults for PPP forgiveness. I do not. I have chosen to basically give all my COVID stuff for free. I don't take money for it at all. And I want to be able to serve as many of you as possible. But instead, I have partnered with people who actually are providing one-on-one work, because I know a lot of you guys really want to sit down and talk to somebody about your specific situation. So my friend Bree, a lot of you guys probably know her, Bree Beers. I don't know if she's on right now, but she is offering PPP consults. So I posted about it in the group today. I don't have the link with me right now, but if somebody has it, they can drop it. And that's going to be a really good place to go for actually getting to sit down and talk about and make sure that you have your ducks in a row for PPP forgiveness. She's offering 30-minute consults to non-clients. A lot of CPAs aren't doing this for non-clients. She worked with me on the PPP tracker. So she was one of the three of us, me, Bree, and Kelly, who all worked on it. So she is well-versed in this stuff. So I know you guys will be in good hands. So if you are looking for that one-to-one advice, go chat with Bree. Again, I posted, it may not have come out yet. It might be coming out in a little bit, actually. I'm not sure if the post has gone through, but it will be. You can search for Bree in the financial literacy group. Okay. All right, guys, let's see. Okay. Will your bank tell you if PPP is forgiven, or do we have to wait for the SBA? And I don't think they have a full 3 months. I thought it was 60 days, but I might be getting my numbers confused. It's something like that. So your bank will tell you whether they have conditionally approved you, right? So, or conditionally forgiven you. I'm sure that they, more than likely, I don't know what the systems with your bank and everything will be, but yes, I would probably ask your bank what their process is going to be, but likely they will tell you, like, look, you're conditionally approved for forgiveness, and then it'll go to the SBA. I don't see the SBA really overturning a ton of those, except for maybe they're probably going to look more into the bigger loans. Okay, here we go. Here's the link to meet with Bree, you guys. Again, it's posted that's on my Facebook page, so you can check that out. I know that's a bunch of numbers and letters, but again, check the Facebook page too. Yay, Bree. Excel impressed. Yeah, that's our thing. Yes, I'm assuming you're talking about Bree. She is, oh yes, you are. She's great. I'm glad you enjoyed her, Robin. She's awesome. So I'm trying to send everybody to her because I know they'll be taken care of. I know a lot of people's CPAs really, this has been something hard. So this is where if you're happy with your CPA, but you're like, I don't know, I still think I need to still consult on this with somebody knowledgeable. Bree's a good person. You don't have to switch. You can if you want to. Yeah, she takes tax clients as well, but you can just talk to her, do a 30-minute consult, and sense check everything and feel better about it. Okay. Let's see. PPP spent, EIDL money spent, got capped out at 150. Where do you go next? Running out of money. Have you looked at, I don't know if you would qualify for a Main Street loan. I haven't talked about them a lot because they're for bigger companies, but it sounds like you may be a bigger company. So there's also the Main Street loan lending program, which starts at $250K. It used to be $1 million was the minimum, but now it's less. So I would look into that Main Street lending program. That's also been part of the stimulus funding. That might be a good place to go. Maybe a regular SBA loan. You can go check to see what the availability is on something like that. But that's really where I would have you go next, is to check out those Main Street loans. Okay, good. That's good. Okay, I'm gonna put this up right quick again. Okay, guys, well, I'm gonna let you go because now I've gone 4 minutes over, so go figure. And I think I just heard my daughter wake up from her nap, so I have got to go handle that. But happy Friday and happy Labor Day weekend. I hope you guys get some rest. I hope you get some enjoyment. I'm gonna go enjoy my hot tub a little bit. Super excited. And yeah, I'm glad to be here for you guys, and let me know what you need, and go say hi to Lindsay on the thread in the group if you haven't yet. All right, bye guys.